So we'll start with this demonstration. So meanwhile, I'll just share my screen so that we'll start with what is analytics. Probably this particular session is to get you an idea about what is analytics and what are the things that we're going to see in this particular course. So meanwhile, if you have any questions to ask, you can just stop me and then you can just throw your questions regarding this particular course. So I'll try to answer all your questions. So in this particular course, this is mainly we are going to see what is basically analytics, and we're going to see what are the tools that we're going to implement in terms of analytics, and what are the applications across domains it is being applied. So these are all the things that we're going to discuss today. Yeah. So let me take through the course contents and what is this course and what are all the things that we're going to discuss here in this particular course. See, basically in this particular course, we're going to see what is analytics and what are all the places where analytics is being applied. So we'll be looking at what are all the different applications that analytics has and what are all the statistical algorithm which is going to help you in doing all this analytics process. So the entire structure is made in such a way that it adds value to both research people as well as business people, because many of the time the business people, it is very difficult for them to understand the statistical part, and sometimes all these research people, they are good at statistical part but they find difficult to relate it with business. So this particular course that we had created is in such a way that it covers both business as well as stats, so it becomes easy for working professionals. So here mainly this analytics concepts we are going to see only in three tools, which is R, SAS and Excel. So these are all the three main tools we are going to see in this particular course. Okay, so and we're not going to discuss about any other tools. So I'll just take you through the process of what is analytics. So just a basic introduction about analytics. Okay, and meanwhile, if you have any questions or any other doubts, you can just ask me. You can just ping your questions in the chat box so that I can just respond to you back. Okay, so any idea about what is analytics? So generally people nowadays talk a lot about analytics and data. So do you have any idea about what is analytics and why actually you people are interested in taking up this course? So that's the reason you are like sitting here and you are listening to this particular demonstration. So can you just tell me like why, what is analytics and why this makes people interested? Any idea about analytics? Just let me know your answers according to your perception. So I'll just try to put it in the way that this course is made. Okay. So Ravi, you answered that to do an analysis on business problems. Okay. Yeah. And Shivam, you're telling finding out raw data to valuable data. Okay. And Ravi, again analysis. Yeah. The simple thing, whatever you told is something relevant. So in this current scenario, if you're looking at, every domain has a lot of data with themselves and people doesn't know what to do with their data. So as an analyst or as a data scientist, we people, what we're trying to do is we are trying to get all this data and we're trying to derive out possible insights which is going to help business, because it is not that I knew statistics, I'm not going to do, I'm doing some algorithm, I'm showing the result. So that is not the case, because whenever you do a process, at last it should make some business relevance. So that is what we are going to see in terms of analytics. It is something a mixture of both statistical plus business. So you cannot reject any one of this part and you can never get into statistics or analytics. So it is very essential as a domain expert or to become a data scientist. You need to know what is business and what is statistics. So we had made a structure in such a way that people gain both of these things together. Okay. So we're going to learn a lot about data. So initially, if you're looking at, every domain has its own data, we're going to see how these data are being churned out and how these insights are being derived out of this data. So it is something like every data has an untold story. So which an analyst, as an analyst, we're trying to figure out those story and we're trying to apply in our business to gain good profitability. Okay, that's what we're going to see here. And in this particular course, we're going to see what is data transformation. Say, if I have a raw data, how I'm going to process it. Every domain has a data which is unclean. So we're going to see how these data comes into picture and how we are going to clean this to derive out a good insight. So in this particular scenario, we are going to discuss about 4 different stages. So every analytics will have obviously 4 different stages in it, and these are all the 4 stages that we're going to cover here. So it always starts with descriptive part. So I'll just tell you these are all the 4 things which we are going to discuss in a complete course structure. So I'll just take you through each and every stages, so that you would get an idea. So why we are doing all the stages and what is the necessity of doing all the stages. Okay. So whenever you get a data, what is the first thing that you will try to do? For an example, you have a raw data. Okay. The first thing is, as an analyst or as a human being, what is the first thing that you're trying to do out of this data? Everything's related. So the question that I throw you is the same process that you're going to implement in your course. So if I give you a raw data, what is the first thing that you'll try to do, and what is the first thing will get in your mind? There is a huge data in your database, so you're going to do some analysis. So what is the first thing that you will try to do? So I'll just try to give you an idea how to go ahead with this process. Okay, so any idea, if there is a huge data with you, where you will start or how you will start? Any idea about it? Okay, Uday, you were telling you're going to arrange this data. So obviously, if there is a raw data which is coming to your place where you have to start an analytics process or a project, the first thing is obviously you try to arrange all your data, and then what you try to do is you try to figure out what are all the basic things that I can understand from my data. So if it is unclean, obviously I have to clean my data set, and then I have to understand my data at a basic level. At a very basic level, what is my data and how this data is being represented. Say for an example, in business or industrial cases, there would be like 5 TBs of data where you will have 100 columns and crores of rows. So in that you have to derive out at least a basic insight out of the data as a description. So that is what we'll be doing many process in terms of descriptions, both in R or any other BI tools. So there we'll try to put up all these tools to understand the basic level of data. Okay. Okay. And Ravi, you said based on the business problem, we have to retrieve that and start doing analysis. So just assume that I have a business problem, and these are the 4 steps you are going to apply in that business problem. Say, I'll take you through the next upcoming slides. I'll tell you the business problems as well. So first we'll try to understand the score structure. Then I try to tell you what are all the applications that it can have. Okay. So the first thing that always people would know or interested in is to understand the basic level of data. So once I get a clear picture, okay, this is my data, then what I'm going to do, for an example, just let me throw you a question. So if you're telling that how I'm going to predict a quantity or a demand, say I'm holding a e-commerce company, okay, so there are a lot of products in my inventory. So I want to see what is the product and how it is going to behave in future. Okay, so this is one problem statement that we'll take and we try to solve it. Okay, how I'm going to optimize my inventory. So at what level I should maintain my inventory. So for doing this, for predicting your demand, what are all the possible factors that you can think of? Say for an example, I have to predict my product's demand, how it is going to behave in future. For doing this particular process, what are the possible things that you can take into consideration? Say I'm going to sell a product. Okay, I'm selling a product. And if I ask a question, I'm selling an ice cream. So how the sales of ice cream would be in future? Okay, a simple question. So what are all the factors you would consider that ice cream sales is getting affected? Okay, the product cost. Okay, that is one factor. Yeah, obviously as Shivam said, quality. Okay, and what else? Okay, the marketing team that you have, because you would have a lot of good promotion so that you can just attract the groups to your particular product. And what else? Okay, the good location. So where I hold my particular shop, whether I'm just holding it in an urban area or a rural area, that is also one good thing. And obviously the sales figure, okay, how it was in the past. And you can also consider many other factors. Say I could tell temperature, because depending upon the temperature, my sales of ice cream would differ. And it also varies according to season. Yeah, as price comparison, as you said, price compare is something your competitor analysis. So my competitor is pricing less than of what I sell. So in that case, obviously I cannot make a good profit. That is also one good thing to consider. Yeah, competency in market. And what else? You can also consider your GDP, inflation, all microeconomic factors and macroeconomic factors. So if you are considering, okay, innovative idea of many flavors to attract people. Yeah. So right now I throw you a particular question regarding the sales of ice cream, and you have n number of factors which is causing an impact to your sales, right? So in terms of analysis, it becomes difficult. Whenever you are getting into a business process, you would find 1,000 variables which is trying to impact your sales. So in that case, how we are going to differentiate it? If there are 1,000 variables, if all the 1,000 variables are going to impact my sales, that would be your first question that will get into your mind. So to answer all these things, people would generally do a diagnostic. So there they try to figure out, so if there are 1,000 variables with my data set, what is the relationship between these 1000 variables? So if I'm able to establish a clear relationship with all these factors, then it makes sense for me to predict the future values. Say if I tell, okay, temperature is having 15% impact and price of the product is having 20% impact. So based on this relationship, it is easy for you to predict the future values, right? So that's what the relationship of these variables are being captured in terms of diagnostic. And this is the second phase that we're going to discuss, and there are a lot of statistical algorithms which is being discussed in diagnostic with the business applications. Okay, and next comes your third part, which is predictive. So obviously now in the second phase you understood what is the necessity of taking all these variables and what is the relationship between all these variables. Now after establishing the relationship, is it possible for you to predict the future values? See, right now I have 100 variables. I know all these 100 variables impact towards my sales with a pinpoint accuracy. I have a proportion value which is representing my sales. And after figuring out this numerical value, is it possible for me to predict the future values? Any guess? One say, okay, yes, but not exactly. So if I tell that, okay, temperature is having exactly 10% impact and price is having 20% impact. Say if I have a proportion telling the equal impact on sales, then it is possible, right? If I have a numerical figure to represent it, and if I'm able to relate a causal effect here, then it is easy for me to predict the future values. So in this particular third phase, we are going to see what are all the forecasting algorithms or what are all the predictive, advanced predictive techniques which is being applied. So statistically, we learn all these things. So it tells me what is going to be my future. Okay. So now I had figured out what is the relationship and what is my future. Now I figured out that my future is going to be it is going to hold less sales. Okay. The demand that I hold is. So if you're looking at the last phase, this is something called prescriptive. So now that you are very clear about the relationship of your variables and you're able to predict your future values and you found that your future sales is going to be down. So what are all the possible things that you can try to make your business steady? For example, you figured out that, okay, my upcoming months, the demand is going to be less. So in that case, what would be your action points? In a business scenario, now we are able to figure out that my future sale is going to be down. Okay. Using my predictive model techniques, I had figured out what is going to be my future. And I had figured out that my future is going to drip down. So which is moving decline. Okay. I found that, okay, in the upcoming years, like 2017 or 18, my sales is continuously getting decreased. Okay. In this situation, what are all the possible things that you could think of to make your business steady? Because at the end of the day, business is all about gaining profit. It is not about getting loss, right? So in this case, what are all the thought process that you would improve there or you will try to implement there? Okay, need to find out factors which are reason for the loss. So these things are being answered from your diagnostic or a predictive model. So your predictive model would tell, okay, these are all the factors which is trying to affect my business. So possibly if you are able to understand your factors, now is it easier for you to take a decision, right? Say for an example, people are reacting negative towards my price. So whenever I increase my price, people are reacting negatively towards it, which I found during my analysis of predictive or diagnostic. So now that I can take a action, right? So I can just try to reduce my price of my product and I can do a marketing campaign. I can see how these are having an impact. So based on all these things, I can optimize my business and I can make it steady, right? So that is where your prescriptive part comes in, and it differs for all the other business. So we're going to discuss all these things with all possible real-time case studies because these applications are vast in different domains, and we're going to see at least we'll be discussing 4 different domains by using all these analytic stages. Okay. Okay, Shivam, you're asking a question. Can you please repeat prescriptive part? Prescriptive part is something which you are going to take a decision or you're going to make an implementation. For an example, during your process of predictive or diagnostic, you had figured out the factors which is making your business go down. Okay. Say in that case, because your marketing team is not able to establish a good exposure towards advertisement, or the price which you had made for your product is not satisfying your customer. So these are all the things that you had figured out. So that is going to make your sales go down. In the situation, what you try to do, you try to alter your factors, right? You would bring in a better marketing team. You would make your marketing strategies in a better way, and you also try to optimize your price so that you are trying to attain a good profitability, right? So these are all the actions that you can easily take when you are going ahead with all these 3 processes. So these are the 4 stages which we are going to see in both R as well as SAS, and there are different statistical algorithms which is going to contribute for all these phases. Okay, and we are going to see some business case studies where all these questions are how it is getting solved. This is the process that we are going to follow in our entire course structure, and we had split it into descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. So there are different statistical algorithms which is contributing to each and every phase, which we'll try to see in detail with a good case study of different retail sector. Like there are 4 different sectors. We have case studies. One is for healthcare, retail, and internet, as well as for another sector. So we'll be looking at all these examples for all possible sectors. Okay, clear? Till this point, do you have any questions to ask? Is our course structure clear? Because we are trying to relate with each and every step so that you would get an idea what is the data and how to transform it and how to go ahead with the process. So we'll be dealing with the end-to-end process of analytics. So how an unclean data is getting processed, and at last how you should deliver a result which makes sense for business. So these are all the things that we are going to discuss in this particular course structure. And I can tell you the vast applications of analytics. So if you're looking at the applications of analytics, it is like very, very vast, whereas it is mainly applied in all the domains. Whatever domains that you see, everywhere data analytics is being applied. So you can never see a domain without analytics. So I can tell you the process. I'll tell you what are the business cases or the business application that we'll be seeing. And we'll be looking at the cycle of analytics. So how a analytics process should go and what are the cycles which is there. So it deals with all this data and what is the data and how it is being dealt with. So we'll be looking at all these possible factors here. And we'll also look at different examples of these analytics in what all the places it is being applied and how it is being applied. And all these processes are being handled using R, SAS, and Excel. So we'll be covering with all these 3 tools. Right now, I'll just try to tell you some examples or some case studies which we are looking in our particular course structure. So if you're looking at the applications of analytics, it is vast, as I told you earlier. In case of retail, we have the application of analytics, something like if you want to make a good promotion there, so what sort of promotion that you can make to your customer, or if you want to optimize or maintain your inventory, it is necessary for you to predict your future demand. So how exactly you are predicting your future demand so that you can reduce your inventory cost. So all these things we'll be discussing, and these are all the applications in retail sector. And there are a lot of applications in healthcare as well, like drug interactions and disease management. And when coming to financial services, you will try to figure out what is the credit score modeling or fraud detection, pricing. And these are all the basic applications which is being dealt here. And there are certain case studies which is being provided for all this particular problem, and how analytics is being applied in manufacturing industry as well as energy industry. So these are all the phases which we'll be covering in our particular course. Okay. So do you have any questions in this point? Okay. What about automobile? So automobile case studies are not available, but if we have a specific questions to ask in terms of automobile, because we have experts in these domains as well, so they can answer the question. Or if you are working in an automobile project or something, if your domain is automotive, in that case people are there to help you out. Yeah, obviously telecom is there. So when coming into communication, telecom is also dealt with. So people would give you all the explanations and they'll tell you some case studies applied for different sectors, because it is impossible for us to cover all the sectors. So most probably our case studies will be related to retail, healthcare, and some of the financial services. So and apart from that, if you have any domain related specific questions, we have experts to solve it, because everywhere the problems are same, and somehow you are trying to apply your statistical algorithms to solve your business problem. So in that particular phase, if you have any doubts, we have experts to solve it. Any other questions? And these are all the common applications which we are taking up. We have some case studies related to some statistical algorithm which we'll be showing in our class, as well as we provide you some case studies with solution which you can solve by yourself and you can just learn it. And if you have any questions, people are there to help you out. And we have a Simplilearn forum as well. So whenever you have question, for every budget, we'll form a separate group. Whereas during the session or after the session, if you have any question, you can post there so that all our trainers are engaged there. They'll be able to answer all your questions. Okay, how do we formulate data which is in raw condition? So you are telling, you are asking how I can clean this data, right? Uday, is that your question? If I have an unclean data, how I can start with? So all these things are being covered in our course. So if there is a raw data in your place, what to start with and where to start with, because there are certain basic cleaning steps which is to be done. which we'll cover in our session. And after that, we'll try to tell you how there is a relationship built between the tables that you have. Say when you're talking about industry, it is not about only one table in your data. There are almost like 100 or 200 tables you would have. How we are going to map all these tables and what is the relationship between all these tables. So whenever we get into case studies, you will have such kind of problem, which we'll solve in the sessions. Okay, so that you will get a good idea about how to clean my data and how to start a process for analysis. Okay, the first step is obviously cleaning your data, which we'll be handling here. Okay, Uday, any other questions? Now you can just ask your questions. So probably if you are in a Java domain or something, how I could take up this course and what is going to add value in my particular domain. So if you have these sort of question, you can just ask me. And if you have any course structure related question, you can just ask me so that I can just clear that out. Okay, do you have any question? Okay, today you had a question. What is the role of programming skill needed in this field? Okay, good question. So this particular course is made in such a way that even programming person, or even if there is a person who is from the database, or if there is a person completely out of this IT field, even they can learn this particular course, because we concentrate on business statistics plus less coding stuff, which will try to make you understand the whole structure. And I would suggest coding skill is required, but not that much, because all the algorithms that you're going to work with had default libraries, so that you should be aware what is that algorithm and how you're going to apply it. So if you're looking at the coding steps of R or SAS, it is very simple and you can just learn it very easily. Okay, and for this particular thing, you not be an expert in coding, just a logical skill. Only that is required in terms of analytics. Okay with that? And R is something which is completely coding, but not a very difficult coding part. It is very simple to understand, and it is actually an easy framework to work on. Okay, what is the critical skill needed? So if you're asking me the critical skill needed, I would suggest a logical thinking, how you are trying to think about business and how you're going to apply all the statistics to your business. So that is the only thought that an analyst should have. So you should be good in understanding business problem, as well as you should be good in understanding the statistical algorithm. So if you are able to understand both these domains, it is easy for you to connect and to get better results. Okay with that? Okay, Shivam, can you please give some example of R during this session? Okay, you're telling I should give an example of R, how this R tool works, right? Is that a question, Shivam? Okay, right now I don't have R in my machine, because as it is a demo, I don't have that in my particular machine. So what I can do is, if you want help, or we'll try to post in our community. Probably by tomorrow, we'll just try to take the snapshot of some of the basic R coding stuffs. We'll try to show you the environment, how it would look, so, and what you can do there. Okay, Shubham? It is something like a console. So whenever you open a command prompt, it is the same way that your R console would look. So that is a place where you would work to populate all your results and to throw all your graphs. It is same as your command prompt. So you'd be putting all your commands there. Okay, and Uday, you had a question. What kind of, okay, before getting into the other question, I'll just try to solve Uday's question first. Okay, what kind of assignment can come in this role when on job? Okay, you're asking when you take up this course, what sort of assignments or how it is related to your job? What is your question, Uday? Okay, you're asking, okay, the simple thing is we talk about some business problems here in this session, which you can relate it with your business problem. Say for an example, if I talk about forecasting, so forecasting is something we are trying to predict your future values, which is a particular thing which is applied in all the domains. If you're looking at retail sector, or if you're looking at energy sector or healthcare, in all the sectors, predicting a future value is one thing which is very, very important. So those things are being covered in a curriculum. So which is like a common problem for all the sectors. Most of the case studies that what we take is something which is applied across all the sectors. So we'll have case studies in such way, so that by doing up all this case studies and by going through all these algorithms, it becomes easier for you to implement the same thing in your respective domains. Okay with that? Because we take problem in such a way that it is relating with all other domains. So we don't focus on any specific domain. We try to carry over the problem which is common in all these domains, so that it becomes easier for you to understand, because people are from different domains and from different backgrounds. Because some people are from research side and some people are from completely into management. So we had made a course in such a way that both these people get benefited. And now I'll just respond to the other questions. Okay, Apurva, you had a question. Is the data scientist course enough to have a good grasp of the data scientist career? what other resources can we have to better, deeper, and practical? Okay. The simple thing is whenever you get into this domain, it is something vague. If you're talking about a data scientist role is something very, very vast. He should know what is the source where the data is getting generated, and he should know how this data are coming into picture, as well as how he is able to derive out all this insight using statistical algorithms. And if he is able to derive out insight, how he is going to apply it in business. So that is the more crucial part. So if even after creating your insight, if you're not able to apply it in your business, then it is not going to make any it is not going to add any value to you. So we make a structure in such a way that all the things are being carried over. Okay, and after this course you would have a clear picture, so whether to get into completely modeling or getting into business decisions. So these sort of idea this particular course would easily give to everyone. Okay, and before coming to your question, I'll just answer Sudhindra's question. Okay, how analytics can improve sales domain? I have 7 years of experience in sales, 4 years of retail sales, 2 years of e-learning sales. Okay, what opportunities or change of career I can pursue? So for Manu Sudhindra, you are completely into management side or you are into decision making side, right? From your question, that is what I could understand. Okay, you are into core sales. Yeah. So you would know each and every core point of your sales, right? So how sales is happening and how it is done. Say for an example, if you're talking about retail sector, you know the each and every part how the sales are happening. But it is highly impossible for you to figure out in a manual fashion. For an example, if we are holding a small sector, say if you hold 10 or 15 stores, it is easy for you to understand your complete business and the way how your business are carried over. But when coming into a greater picture, it is very difficult for a human mind to have a perception towards that business, right? Because in all the cases, your perception, sometimes it works. I'm not telling that 100% it doesn't work, but in most of the cases, your intuition might work or may not work. But it should be proved with the data, right? So that is what we are looking here. So how with these data, how we are going to understand your business well? Because all this data would have a story which is hidden, which you're trying to bring out and you're trying to relate it with your sales. Say for an example, in your sector, just tell me what are the possible factors that you could think for sales, which is contributing to your sales. Say for an example, you are into core sales. Say just take a small example of a particular problem and tell me how you would approach without the data, with your manual intuition. I think as you have this experience, you would have taken some decisions by your intuition. On looking at your salespeople, you would have decided at some point you would have decided, right? Any situations in that way? Okay. So if you have an intuition in that way, I can never tell that it is 100% wrong, because as you have a domain expert in that particular field, you know much better than another person. But what you can do is when you're comparing your intuition with data, sometimes data would tell you some different stories which you would never expect. Sometimes you would have heard about a popular association like beer and diaper, because people would, as a human mind, you would never have a thought that a guy who is getting beer, he would get a diaper. It is not a common thing that a man intuition can make, right? But this is a true thing which happens through numbers. So these sort of hidden stories is what your numbers are trying to tell. So as a data scientist, you have to understand your business as well, because if you're very good at business, you know what is the business problem there, and based on that you can relate it with the current solution, and you can just see yourself in future. Okay, how you can make your business in a better way. So it helps you in taking your decisions in a more accurate and a precise manner. Okay, Sudhindra, clear? Do you have any questions? And Apurva, what other resources can we use? Okay, resources in terms of resources, what is that you are trying to ask, Apurva? Other resources in the something like how well we are supporting in terms of providing the materials. Is that your question, Apurva? If that is your question, any books? Yeah, we have a course material for ourselves. For every algorithms, we have our own structure and we have our own materials, which we'll be sharing to all the participants. When you enroll into this particular course, everyone will be provided with an LMS access. There we'll provide with all the possible books plus the course materials, as well as some of the trainers would provide supplementary materials as well. So they would create some slides for better understanding. They will also post there, and we have a separate community to talk about your questions. So at the end of every session, we have a separate community forum where you can post your questions. All the trainers will be available there and they'll try to respond to your question. So it is something like a platform where you can learn very easily without any hurdle. Okay. And Ravi, you asked the question. So at the end of the course, can I tell myself as a data scientist? Yeah, obviously you would get an idea who is a data scientist, because data scientist is something which you can never attain in 6 months or over a year. It takes at least 6 years or 7 years to understand what is a data scientist, right? Because it is not an easier job. Right now, if you are looking at the pay scale of data scientists, it is the biggest thing in market. Because why people are doing it? Because a data scientist guy should know each and every nook and corner of your data, as well as the flow, as well as the technology which is emerging in. So this course would help you to understand what is data scientist, as well as you would be equipped to become a data scientist. Okay, because even I can never tell that I'm a good data scientist. I've been in this industry for 7 to 8 years. Still this point I can never tell that I'm a good data scientist, because data scientist is something, an art which expands everywhere. It requires all other technologies to be covered. So this would give you an idea how to travel ahead, and what is their interest, and it gives you an idea about what is analytics and how you can apply that. Yeah, Apurva, my email ID, probably whenever you make a call to the support team, they'll try to connect with me. Okay. Even after the session, if you have any question, they'll try to connect with me and they'll get back to you. Okay, Apurva, that is not a big deal, because I cannot share my mail ID, but whenever you make a call, if you want to talk with me, and my name is Murli, okay, you can just tell them. So probably whenever I get time, if you have any specific queries to ask, I'll just try to respond back. And Uday, can you list any good forums to join and get the kind of issues they get? Okay, you're telling what kind of issues, like what are all the analytics problems? Is that your question, Uday? So obviously in this particular case, what we are trying to do is we throw you many problem of business case studies where you are supposedly you are in a position to figure out the business problem. So we had made case studies, or we have a course structure in such a way that we'll make you to understand the business. Okay, websites of forums. Probably you can just, if you want to understand the course structure, you can just get into Simplilearn. I think this particular course have the complete course structure, and we had mentioned what are all the case studies we use there, and how it is going to impact in your particular domain, or how you can shift into this domain. So those things are like represented there. You can just call, or you can just go through our Simplilearn site for this particular course. We had made it in an elaborated way so that you can understand it very easily. Okay, Uday? And any other questions? Okay, any website name? So you're telling me any website name to understand this course, or what is it? To understand the basics of analytics, right? Okay, I think there is a separate forum for Simplilearn itself. We have a separate forum where we talk about what is analytics and how it is being improved. Even you can just use that particular forum to understand the structure, or to get an idea of this particular course, or about the domain of analytics. And probably our team also will share you some of the links so that you can just go through it to have a better understanding. Okay, outside of Simplilearn, I think there are several competitors. I think possibly you can just search it. You can also see what they are teaching and how we are doing it. So you can just make a comparison as well. And if you have any questions during this comparison, you can just come ahead. You can ask it to us. And there are many players in market as well. You can just go through their contents, and you can also see our contents. You can also relate it with their things and us. Okay, just problem logging and solutions. Okay, in this case, if you're looking at retail analytics problem, generally if you're typing in Google, you would get hundreds of sites solving these things. And it depends on specific domains. For retail, the problems are something different, and for healthcare, it is something different. If you are typing retail analytics problem solving skills or something like that, you can just type and you can get many other websites. I'm not very sure about the specific website, but you would get a lot of points there. Okay, any other questions or any other doubts regarding this course? What if I take, like, what are the things that I will get? Anything like that? I think it is clear, right, about the structure, what we make. And if you want a statistical algorithm and all these things, which is mentioned in your contents. Okay, yes, Shivam. So this is all about analytics, and these are all the phases we cover here. So about the statistical part, and if you're looking at statistical part, we'll be covering all probability theory, test of significance, and these are all the common things which is handled in each and every phase. And then we'll see a different machine learning algorithms, as well as the tool component oriented. So how we can do all this transformation and all this process in terms of R as well as SAS. So we have split it into different lessons. And if you want, like, you can also go through the site. I think Simplilearn had provided the site where they had mentioned the course content. I think here this particular link would tell you what are the topics that we are covering. supply chain analytics example, web analytics, and applications of all these cases. And this is the course structure that we have: introduction of R programming, data structure, data visualization, regression, and all these algorithms, and basic analytic techniques of SAS and Excel. So this is only for R, and apart from this, the same structure we have for SAS as well as Excel. Okay, and if you want, I'll just share this link. I guess you would have seen all those links, but anyway, I'll just share this with you. Okay, you can just go ahead to understand the course structure. Yeah, Shom, these are all the things that we are going to see in our course. So you can go ahead with these topics, and even then, if you have any questions, you can just call our technical team, whereas they'll try to answer it. Or if not, if you want to make a private call to me or something like that, you can just make a request to them. So I'll just try to attend the call and I can respond back to your questions. If there is any specific question to ask, say course related or algorithm related, you can just go through this link. Here we had clearly mentioned what are the things that we are discussing in our course. And you can also see with the competitors as well, how good they are also doing and how we are doing. And if you have any questions from their structure and our structure, you can ask us. We'll try to solve it. Okay. Okay, Shivam. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. So basically, just go through the structure and try to read about these things, and just go and explore. Okay. How about certification? Yeah. So certification is something after this course, you'll be in a position to submit your case studies, where during the session itself, we'll try to solve all those case studies, because every week after the session, we'll try to solve the case studies as well. So it is not a big deal. So once your course get over in 6 weeks, so even if you take 2-3 days time, you can solve all this case study, so that you can just get your certificate by submitting it. And we will also help you in terms of solving those case studies. If you are stuck at some point, okay, if you are stuck at some point of time, we'll try to help this out. And any other questions? Okay, 6 weeks is not there for self-paced learning. Yeah, six weeks are not a constraint, because we have an open LBC platform. Say for an example, there are many trainers in this particular class. Say if I am a trainer and you're attending my session, and unfortunately in a week you're not able to attend my session, say probably what you can do is you can join the same 3rd week or the 4th week of another trainer. So you have an access for it. So this LBC is something you can just join in any one of these sessions. You can, if you are missing off some of my classes, you would get a recorded session, and even if you want to connect with other batches, you can also do it. Okay, so these are the options we provide. So flexible options. Okay with that? It is not for both self-paced and the online course. Okay, is there any deadline for assignment in self-learning? There is no such deadline. So whenever you are like completing your case studies, you can just provide those documents and you can get your certificates. And if you want it very urgently, you have to complete your courses very quickly, and you have to submit it. And I don't think all these case studies are very easier to solve when you are going through the structure in a proper way. So because at the end of all these sessions, we'll give you an idea how to approach this as well. So if you are trying to solve it at the end of every session, that will be very easy for you to. Any other questions? And one thing before you take up, just go through the course material. Just get satisfied with this. And if you have any questions, always you can just contact Simplilearn. We are there to help you out. Okay, how valuable Simplilearn certificate is, or any other organization to take the exam. And to your thing, this particular Simplilearn is the world's 8th best training center. Okay, the world's 8th best training center, and almost like there are 600 or 700 professions who had taken up this RSAS course, and even personally, I had handled almost 300 participants. So whereas they are in good positions and they had shifted their domain, which you can go through our reviews as well. So people had a good talk about that. So this is actually a valid thing, and people even in industries, they recognize Simplilearn certifications, because we are worldwide into market. And any other questions? Okay, so all your questions are answered. Is that clear for everyone? So yeah, that's it. So probably we'll wind up this demo session. And if you have any further questions, you can ask to our Simplilearn team, which you can just give a call to them, and they are there to help you out. And if you're like stuck at some point, or if you have a question, what is it and how we are going to do this approach, and obviously you can seek the help of Simplilearn, and even we trainers are there to help you out. Okay. Okay, sure with it. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone. Bye bye. So we will end this session.